They maintain traditional family structures, strong work ethic, tight social networks that create massive advantages for their children. And so this is a dynamic that, I've been like pointing this out since I was like
a long
20
time.
years old, like entering into these kind of like political spaces, policy making, influence and all this type of stuff. And it was like, I'm talking about like social media wasn't out yet or any of these things, but I'm just living with people who's like, and working alongside folks who like their words and their sort of political disposition, they'll be like, hey, family, traditional family is toxic and, oppressive and all these types of things. And this is what they write about and publish. But then it's like, they got married before they had kids. They go to mass on Sunday, like all the things. But I got to get home because, my husband has come home from the airport. And I'm like, hold on.
Sorry, you said
it's a C. It's a C.
So why were you looking for me to go?
I wasn't looking for you.
You said Ed, go.
I said cue the host. That's me. This is The Nuclear Option with Chris and Aziza Butler, the podcast for those who dare to believe in the power of the nuclear family.
In a time when it's harder than ever to build a family, we want to encourage you to be proud of your family. Invest in your family because our families carry the most promising solutions for the problems in our world. Greetings! All right, guys, welcome to the Nuclear Option podcast, where we discuss the politics, the practice, and the promise of family.
From our home to yours, we are inviting you into a conversation about the Schlabensklap. Say greetings.
Greetings, and welcome to the Nuclear Option podcast, where we discuss the politics, the practice, and the promise of family.
From our home to yours, we are inviting you into a conversation about family, not just as a private institution, but as a public good.
Hey. Awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here again. Thank you for coming back. You guys are incredible.
Especially after the last episode, it was really, it was rough because we were in here by ourselves.
Right. And we were like trying, but this goes to show you,
Listen, the power of community.
Right. Like we don't do this thing alone. Families need many
it takes all. We're going to talk about that at some point on the podcast, but just shout out to Mike. Shout out to Nathaniel. Shout out to everybody.
All the people who are helping us, even with the kids and everything.
We're on the struggle bus. But now we are back.
But we're back. Yay. And it's going. So this is good. Thank you guys for your patience with us. Okay. So like you know, we start off with the politics, and man, Chris has something really intense for y'all today. This is great.
I don't know if it's me. It's more Seth Kaplan. Because I'm digging into his article. There's an article in this recent National Affairs magazine, and Seth Kaplan is actually arguing for what he calls a systems approach to social disintegration, which, that's a big title for one of these national, things. But essentially what he is talking about is that in our society over a long time at this point, we have seen things kind of falling apart in communities, in neighborhoods. He talks about, the kind of like industrial base sort of leaving the United States, all these types of things. But he particularly points to this idea that most of our policy solutions have really targeted individuals. So how do I make individuals whole, more money, health, whatever. But usually we don't pay attention to the kind of supporting and mediating institutions, the family, faith institutions that actually support people and help people thrive. And so he's making another case about like building that up, which maybe we should talk about that at some point, his actual case. But one of the things that he really digs into in the piece is what I wanted to talk about, which is what he calls a kind of two-tiered system. And basically this kind of elite hypocrisy. So I'm going to quote from his article if I can here. He talked about while preaching individualism and alternative lifestyles, they maintain traditional family structures, strong work ethic, tight social networks that create massive advantages for their children. And so this is a dynamic that, I've been like pointing this out since I was like
right. A long
20
time.
years old, like entering into these kind of like political spaces, policy making, influence and all this type of stuff. And it was like, I'm talking about like social media wasn't out yet or any of these things, but I'm just living with people who's like, and working alongside folks who like their words and their sort of political disposition, they'll be like, hey, family, traditional family is toxic and, oppressive and all these types of things. And this is what they write about and publish. Right. But then it's like, they're married. Right. They got married before they had kids. Right. They go to mass on Sunday. Right. Like all the things, it's like, we can't stand for the white patriarchy. Right. But I got to get home because, my husband has come home from the airport. And I'm like, hold on. Like, and so I've been talking about this for a long time. And so it was really interesting to see this, like discuss in a journal with research, because he's actually looking at some of the research and showing how like in these sort of super zip codes where you have these concentrations of wealthy folks, like much higher marriage rates, much lower divorce rates, much more adaptation of this kind of like success sequence of like, graduate from school, get married, then have kids, like all those types of things. Like this is what these folks who are like controlling the media, controlling the academic institutions that are preaching against this, like they're preaching one thing, but they're doing another thing.
Right.
And then they live so isolated. This is the last thing I'm going to shut up. But they live isolated. We all live isolated from each other. So like the person who's learning these things in school, seeing it on television, being reinforced in, all the Disney movies and stuff. Maybe I shouldn't say Disney if Disney is listening to this. Disclaimer, Disney has lots of themes, that they promote in their, in their movies. But the people who are controlling these things, you have poor folks and working class folks who learn these things, they live these things, and it destroys their life. Right. But the people who are putting it out there are living much closer to like the traditional values that they're
speaking against.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's that whole, do as I say, not as I do.
1,000%.
And so I think it's important to note that, though, because they see that it does work. They maybe are confounded by how it works so well, but they see that it does. And so that's just an encouragement, I think, to us as we are, building our families and leading our families. Do not be duped by all of the, current like propaganda and messages and all this stuff, things that come up in the algorithms, things that, that sell movies and all that stuff. Sure, it seems to be profitable in that way, but it's not the thing that works. And they know it doesn't work. So the people who make the things know that it doesn't work. And I'll just speak from a personal perspective. I definitely worked in spaces and places, whether it was school or work or organizations and things, where it was the same thing. People are like, we got to encourage the students to, they want to let them do how they want to be and blah, blah, blah. We don't have to force them into marriage. But it's like, but you're getting married next week. And this is like the fulfillment of your dream. You've been so excited about being married, or, you want to have children too. And all the things, but they're like, just trying to make it seem like it's not a great kind of framework to establish your life around, but they are literally like going in that same direction, in that path of wanting to build a family and get married and and not just shack up and all that stuff. So I just think that is just so important to not be mindful of what your kids are saying and listening to, because those messages are very loud in our in, like we said, like the media and outlets and things like that. But and it can be very influential for the people who are listening to it and taking it in. Which, another thing, be careful what you take in. You should take in this podcast. Take in this podcast, because
nuclear option podcast.
But be very judicious about what you the messages that are being translated, the hidden, I would say, messages, but also the blatant messages. So because it can be impactful to the people who are listening, but the people who are making it, they don't even subscribe to those kind of beliefs.
And sometimes just to give the sort of like benefit of the doubt, opposite side of not the opposite side, but I know some of these folks, and I do think like sometimes they genuinely believe like, well, this is just like my personal choice, right? Like I don't want to force it on somebody else. Right. But I'm just saying, if you're listening to this, be cognizant of the fact that whatever you're hearing from a politician, media personality, influencer, they may very likely be living a very different sort of thing.
For sure.
And we hold up these like counterexamples, right? So it's like, oh, well, there's this rich person who does all these alternative things, but they have like the kind of financial wherewithal to soften the blow. And Seth Kaplan actually talks about that in his article too. Like they can soften the blow of all these negative impacts because they're ridiculously rich. Mm-hmm. But when you start to look at like the data, these folks who are, making it in the world, so to speak, are doing it because they have tight social networks. Like they have families. Right. They're married. Their children are grown up in 2-parent households. They have these tight friend circles, and they are involved in faith communities. Yeah. So don't be discouraged when you do
and
your
don't
thing.
Be deceived.
And do not be deceived. Lord help us.
Well, all right. That was good, love. That's so good. Thank you for bringing that out. Thank you for shining the light. I hope that was what we're here to insightful.
We want you to feel encouraged in your family.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we're going to take it, we're going to continue on. So we talked about the politics. Now we're going to talk about the practice. And I just wanted to share something with you guys that I think is really cool. It's nothing new, but I just want to put it out there so that you guys would be just more encouraged to do it. It's something so easy that you can bring into your life, into your family. It would help your kids, it'll help you, help your relationships. It's just really good. And that is, drum roll, please.
Terrible drum.
Reading aloud. So a read aloud is when you literally are just reading a story with your children together, and it has so many benefits, but I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. Well, before I touch on a couple of them, so it could be even like an audio book. Sometimes people do that. Lately we've been doing this. We brought out an oldie but goodie, the Bible experience. We loved listening to the Bible experience, right? Before we even had kids. And I recently found it. I had to like dig so much, but I found it, and we just love it. We love it so much. But it literally is just like an audio reading of the Bible, which is really great. But
they have actors and stuff.
They do. They have really very professional actors. It's really great. But no, it's really good. But even not just audiobooks, but just you with your child, just doing like read alouds. They're so good, so helpful. Just want to point out a few things here. So a guy from the Moody Bible Institute, Dr. Micheal Rosario, did a really nice review about the Bible experience that I was telling you guys about. It said that he challenged the listeners to join him to just read just a chapter a day during the weekdays. So I thought that was really cool. And then also PBS had an article, and what they saw was that there were clear cognitive benefits, and it was evidenced by these brain scans that showed that hearing stories strengthens the part of the brain associated with visual imagery, story comprehension, and word meaning. And also another study cited in an article, it showed that reading aloud to young children, it resulted in decreased levels of aggression, hyperactivity, and attention difficulties. And I think those are all the things that parents want from for their children anyway. And it's really cool for those reasons. And then also John Piper's group, Desiring God, there was a writer there, David Mathis, and he talked about all the reasons why he enjoys reading aloud to his children. And I think it was just really good. And he was talking about how it's just so important to have that time together as like a family to read. He said like doing voices and things like that. It was like, it's just a really, really great time to connect with your kids. It may take time, but it's so worth it because it creates connection, but it also is helpful for them as their growing brains are learning to process and things. And then he said, when you go to do it, he said, perhaps my main piece of counsel would be to read with energy. When dad and mom put more into it, the whole family gets more out of it. Even after a long day, it's worth pushing yourself to not just go through the motions and read monotone, but put energy into it. Pour in more enthusiasm than you first think is needed. Read with read with warmth and color. Do voices if you're that type. Pursue contagious joy, not just infectious boredom. You're the teacher, not the book. The book is your prop, your medium, your context for relationship with your children, and your opportunity to invest in them, invest in their maturity, and invest in their personality. So you see, there's just so many great things about like reading aloud. And I think it's just really cool. Like, and you were reading a book with Azim this morning. He was so into that.
And he started off like not into it. Like he was like, I'm not gonna read any story. And I'm like, well, which story do you want to read? I don't want to read any story. But it's like, you know, you just get like a good, and I would say the because you're like you're more of a children professional than me.
I think you're such a great professional child leader.
Vocationally speaking,
I think as you're a dad of 6, you are just a chief.
Yeah, it's kind of a vocation for sure. But you know, I was gonna say like the children's writers, like they work with you here because this is like this is like two like fruit. I don't even know what these, but it was like a dramatization of the Bible story where Jesus calms the storm, but these like little creatures were going across to pick some berries. I mean, so like you got like great characters. It's fun. Like you looking at the you know, the pictures that just makes you want to make voices. And I say just give yourself to it because it didn't take long either. Like it was like maybe a 6 minute thing, but it was a good connection. And as much as he was resisting it, you know, you just go in. And he was like, no.
But then after a couple,
I'm like, what do you see in the pictures? I'm like, you know, do you think you would like Zazzy?
Right. Yeah, would.
Yeah, then it's up to
it's so good. And honestly, okay, so that was the 3-year-old. Well, he'll be 4 in a couple of days. Any age, like I'm talking like my teenagers, like they if I start reading something, even if I'm reading it tonight, they'll like walk past and stop. It's like, wait, let me hear the story. They could have heard the story before. It's just interesting. And honestly, we like read alouds, you know, but we're into stories. Like we tell each other stories, you know, these.
I don't want to make this like super, super long, but we did this in the congregation and it was technically for the children.
We all loved
but
it.
Our like children's ministry leader did like Sister Demi, shout out Sister Demi. She did like this reading, like there was like a giant book, and shout out to Pastor Laura.
Oh yeah.
She like this. She read. It was the same story. It was the Calm the Storm book story. That story is a hit. I think that's the point. But yeah, she read it in the congregation, and it was supposed to be for the kids. Like we had all the kids come to the front of the sanctuary, and like they sat down and read it. But forget about the kids. Like every adult in the room was like so into it, like clapping, crying. Like it was like a deep emotional experience. Yeah, just a story read aloud.
Absolutely. So it's just such a great way to again unwind or to just connect with your child. It gives great talking points. There are always great teachable moments. Of course, you don't want to drag it out. Just watch there. You want to be really discerning about just kind of their attention, where they're at. Sometimes you have to do, okay, we're just gonna do a few minutes here, and sometimes it's like they actually need more time, and so be willing to do a little more, even though you're like, gosh, I'm tired, or I have some emails to respond to. But it's so helpful. It's so beneficial.
Can I read aloud my email?
It doesn't. It's not the same. It doesn't work. Oh no. But no, seriously, they are such a hit. And check out the Bible Experience too, you guys. I found it on Spotify. It wasn't that easy because they have literally no chapter names. Yeah. They just have it.
It's also on YouTube. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. But
I don't know.
It is on YouTube.
I'm sure maybe you could like buy some because we bought it when it was like.
We bought it when it was on CD.
And that was like.
And
incredible.
Had that joint. And you used to have the visor CD holder.
No, we had just like reams of CD books.
Yeah, and you bring it out.
It was so good.
You have like your top 12 CDs right there on the sun visor.
So we loved
it. Your children don't know anything about that, but
yeah,
we have to go to that last thing. That was.
Sorry, you have to leave that alone. But I hope you guys do that. If you're already doing it, maybe you can let us know some of your good techniques for reading aloud, or maybe a book that you're reading, or audiobook or something.
Any tools. Stories.
Let us know. Comment in the section, whatever you guys are commenting. And before we go into the next thing, let's just tell you, can you guys make sure to subscribe and share this episode with somebody who it could be beneficial to?
If you're watching on YouTube now, this week's video is nice
Yes.
And so you can subscribe to the YouTube. If you are listening on a podcast platform, please leave us a review, a good one, and share the podcast with somebody who you think would enjoy it.
Yes. If you have a negative review, as we said in another episode before now, we said just send it to us like privately. You don't have to like put that out there. We can fix it. We'll work on it. And then,
Then you go back and leave a good review. This is amazing. They did exactly what I said.
Exactly. All right. So lastly, we want to talk about the promise. We talked about the politics, the practice of family. Now we're going to talk about the promise of family. So I was just thinking about this, love, because when we do family, like as we live in the context of family, like there is like even the hardest moments of like, child, like sibling conflict or things like that, that has so many great implications for, just their long-term like life and things that they're going to kind of be experiencing, have to navigate through as adults, because they're not going to be kids forever. And so I just want to talk about that a little bit in this section, is just the transferable skills that are gained through living in your family and living in your household, even if it's, hard. Kids are like, beefing with each other or something, like even that can be helpful for them. So some of the research that we found was in Psychology Today. They said that the role of siblings goes far beyond childhood power struggles or alliances over who gets to control the TV remote or whatever. But siblings often serve as emotional mirrors. Through them, we learn how to manage conflict, express empathy, compete, collaborate, and reconcile. And unlike the parent-child relationships, siblings' interactions are horizontal rather than hierarchical. And it creates a space for children to practice interacting with them with equals, somebody who is kind of like right them, which is right there. But that is the thing that in life they're going to be doing that when they go to a job, when they work in a career, when they have a business, when whatever they're doing, they're going to be a part of a team, and probably most of the team is going to be not just the person above them, but the people who are working with them. And I have a couple things about like practical ways of how to do that better, thinking long term, that but just knowing that this is like such a breeding ground for future soft skills of living and working and one day even having their own family and marriage and all of that. Just what do you have to say about that, love?
I mean, it just reminds me actually of yesterday, which is great when you remind me of yesterday.
I wonder if you're going to say the same thing I was thinking about yesterday.
No.
Go, let's see. No, maybe I'll just change my answer based on what you say. I wouldn't do that. Let's say it at the same time. Where were we in the car?
So the story starts in the car in the morning.
Yes.
Am I on the same story?
Yes, we are. Let me say that.
So one of our children, because I'm not saying names because we didn't ask permission to tell the story. But it's kind of my story. But they were like in the car and they were distributing some food in the car. And it was like one was gonna like eat all the rest of it, and then the other was like, hey, does anybody else want some? And then it's like this big thing, like you taking it away from me. It's like, I'm not trying to take it from you. I'm just trying to ask everybody else, do they want any? Because it's really inconsiderate.
Saying,
it's just like this back and forth thing for a minute.
So it was
and then, and then I'm like, chill out, everybody, focus on the Lord, breathe a little bit, whatever. Right. And they did. They calmed down because our kids are wonderful. But then at night, like when it was dinner, the one who was like gonna eat everything and not consider if everybody else
I didn't know about this.
was going to have some in the morning, was gonna like eat the last of the pasta, and before that one ate the last of the pasta, was like, hey, does anybody want any pasta? Daddy, do you want some pasta? And so it was like that kind of like on the job learning, soft skill development.
Amen.
That comes, the training that comes in the context.
For sure, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so great. But yeah, they're constantly like learning these skills, and so even the worst moments where it was definitely kind of tense. They're like, come on now, like cut it out.
They really. These are also two of my more vocal, kind of vocal, expressive, and articulate.
They're very articulate. All of our kids are articulate, but yes, this is two at this time. The two of the articulate ones who are definitely more assertive. Anywho, but this is great because you're gonna need those same skills. I had to learn to be assertive. So I'm like, you are born with it. That's beautiful. And so I just think it was really cool how they said to encourage this context for your kids to because like as they interact with each other, these are such great transferable skills for their adulthood. And it says for parents, encourage collaboration over competition and when you're teaching conflict resolution, do it early because it sets the stage for positive lifelong bonds. And then just has some stats that I think are pretty cool in this article. Another article from Psychology Today. It said that recent studies have indicated that sibling relationships have significant influence on development. For instance, adolescents who perceived that their siblings validated their beliefs and feelings, they reported higher levels of self-esteem and better academic performance. Sibling support and closeness were associated with reduced levels of loneliness and depression, as well as a greater satisfaction later in life. So as parents, what you can do is set the stage for sibling relationships and help them build these strong connections by, one is to not compare one sibling to another and not to take sides when siblings are arguing like we were in the car, yep. But just kind of help them understand and work out the solution that's agreeable to both of them. So help them to see each other's points of view. So one thing that we did, like I did just let them go for a little bit. I know I saw you were too. We were both, I guess, like, okay, I guess it's a teachable moment in those sense. But it was like, hey, like this one is saying that, and hey, this one is saying that. Are you just to kind of help them to understand each other a little bit more? And this says, be careful not to favor one child over another because favoritism creates competition and conflict. I think we see that in the Bible over and over. Mm-hmm. Man, I was like, Rachel, Jacob, are y'all kidding me? Why would you do this to your children? And just so many things, like with these sibling relationships that long-term had some issues. And then it says, when there is disagreement, teach them to express their points of view in a disagreement while actively working to solve the problem. So yes, you can articulate. Yes, you can share your feelings and all that. But also, let's solve the problem together, right? And then a big one, praise the siblings when they get along. So point out, like, I love the way you guys are working together. Oh, I love how you guys, are doing that. Oh, look at you guys. You all figured it out. Great work. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's our phrase at our house. Teamwork makes the dream work. And then you can promote close relationships. So for those of you all who only have one child, I know you might be like, well, what about like you others left me out here? It's okay to have one child. That doesn't mean anything. Some of my really good friends are they're just a one-child household. But the great thing about that is that you can promote close relationship with friends and family members. And I think that is like so helpful. One of my best friends, she's an only child. And we've been like really close friends since high school. And we're definitely like sisters. And we definitely like I'm sure has gleaned just some things from having to work with a sister. She's such a successful, wonderful lady, but she's just such a great person to work on a team with, and she's very thank you. She's such a great collaborator, and she's so great at being attentive, but then also encouraging, but then also taking charge, and then also letting other people lead. She's just really great. I'm like, you're like a wonder to me. So it goes to show, just because you have one child, it doesn't mean that, or one child in your household, it doesn't mean that they will miss these skills. You can foster those in other ways with friends and all of that. So encourage them to connect with their friends.
She's employing all these skills to help on your birthday party.
Oh, that's so sweet, Nicolene. I love you so much. Her name is Nicole. I call her Nicolene. If you're listening to this, Nicolene, I love you. You're amazing. But yes, she. So people who, so when you're as we're raising our kids, all of us, just know that when all this that you're doing, the hard things of working with kids, these are working with your kids when you want to have the tough moments. These are things that are so helpful. Or on
transferable skills.
Amen.
They will be there for your kiddos all down through their lifelong.
Yes.
So keep investing.
Some sauce. Well, thank you guys. This has been so great. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share it with this episode with someone who it will just be a blessing to them. We want to make sure people get a blessing
to us if you share this.
That's true, right? It'll be super helpful. Just all you have to do is click that little button. I'm sure there's a button right there, and just arrow going out, and just send it to someone else and tell them to send it to someone else. Let's get the word out about the nuclear option. podcast. So, guys, let's keep loving each other
Hold on to truth.
and harness your power. See you guys next time. Toodles.